Word meaning yan, which means astaya, accepting, nara, a man, rajan, O king, na pramadeta, is not bewildered, karhichit, ever, dhavan, running, nimilya, closing, va, or, netre, his eyes, na skalet, will not trip, na patet, will not fall, iha, on this path. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada disciples ki jai. Translation. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personal Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the word agya, easily, which is used in the previous verse, is explained in this verse. He stated, agya pade noktam su kartavyam vivranti. By the word anja, the ease of the performing bhakti yoga is established, and this will be elaborated in the present verse. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Himself stated, Pratyakshagavam dharmyam susukam kartam avyayam. The process of devotional service to Supreme Personal Godhead is eternal, and it is very joyfully and naturally performed. Srila Prabhupada comments, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of Lord, or can attend the philosophical lectures and transcendent knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam. He is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what. Even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of social position and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances of this in history. Simply by tasting tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumar became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional service is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. The essential point to be understood here is that when a living entity surrenders to Supreme Person Godhead, he tells the Lord, My dear Lord, although I am the most sinful and unqualified, and for so long have been trying to forget you, now I am trying to take shelter at your lotus feet. From this day on, I am yours. Whatever I possess, my body, mind, words, family, riches, etc., I am now offering at your lotus feet. Please do with me as you like. The Supreme Lord Krishna has repeatedly given assurance in Bhagavad Gita that He will protect and redeem such a surrendered living entity, bringing him back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life in the Lord's own kingdom. Thus, the qualification of surrendering to Lord is so great and spiritually potent that even if a surrendered soul is deficient in other aspects of pious life, his elevated status is protected by the Lord Himself. In other processes, however, such as yoga, because one depends upon his own determination and intelligence and does not actually seek shelter of Lord, one is subjected to fall at any moment, being protected only by one's own flimsy, limited potency. Therefore, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Aruhya Krishena Param Padam Tata Padanti Ado Anratta Yushmit Angraya. If one gives up the shelter of lotus feet of Lord and instead tries to advance in the yoga process by one's own determination, or if one tries to make progress in knowledge by one's own speculative power, superiority of Bhakti Yoga or pure devotional service. In this connection, Srila Swami states, Nimilya netre dhavan api iya esha bhagavad dharmeshu naskale nimilya namaknyanam yatahu shruti smriti ube netre vipra nam tatrikritite ekena vikala kano dvabhyam and prakriti iti. Even if running with both eyes closed, a devotee on the path of Bhagavad Dharma will not stumble. Closing one's eyes refer to being in ignorance of standard Vedic literature. As it is stated, Shruti, Smriti, scriptures are the two eyes of Brahmanas. Lacking one of them, Brahmana is half blind, and deprived of both, he is considered completely blind. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly stated that even if a devotee is lacking in Vedic knowledge or ignorant of Vaishnava literature, the Lord personally enlightens him from within his heart if the devotee is actually engaged in loving service to Lord. In this connection, Srila Prabhupada states, when Lord Chaitanya was in Banaras promulgating the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda, a very influential learned scholar in Banaras at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. They are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. Yet this facility given by the Lord cannot justify unauthorized concoction put forward about the process of devotional service in name of spontaneous devotion. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated, Bhagavat Prapti Artham Pritak Marga Karanam Tu Ati Dushanavam Iva. If one manufactures his own process of devotional service for sake of attaining Supreme Lord, such concoction will cause total ruination. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes on to quote, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpad Eva Kalpate. If one so-called unalloyed devotion to Lord Hari does not take into account the regulations of Shruti, Smriti, Puranas and Pancharatra, it is nothing more than a disturbance to society. In other words, even if one is not learned in the Vedic literature, if he is engaged in loving service of Lord, he is to be accepted as pure devotee. Nonetheless, such loving devotion cannot in any way contradict the injunctions of revealed scriptures. Such groups as Prakrit Sahajas ignore the standard regulations of Vaishnava Dharma and engage in illicit, degraded activities, dressing as Radha and Krishna in name of spontaneous devotion. They claim that because such spontaneous devotion is revealed by the Lord himself, they need not refer to standard scriptures. Similarly, all over the world, there are pseudo-religionists who manufacture their own processes and claim they are receiving knowledge from the Lord himself within their hearts. Therefore, it is very important to understand, as stated here, that spontaneous revelation by Lord within heart is meant not to alter the eternal process of devotional service to the Lord, but to give supplementary facility to a sincere devotee who is ignorant of revealed scriptures. In other words, the revealed scriptures describe the eternal process of service to the Lord. Since the Lord is eternal and living is eternal, the process of the loving relationship also is eternal. The Lord never changes his essential nature, nor does the living entity. Therefore, there is no need to change the essential process of loving service to the Lord. Special revelation by the Lord is meant to give scriptural knowledge by another means and not to contradict scriptural knowledge. On the other hand, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated that if a devotee is executing all basic principles of bhakti yoga and advancing in devotional service, such a Vaishnava should not be criticized for neglecting the secondary procedures. For example, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada established hundreds of spiritual communities in the Western countries for practicing Krishna consciousness. The devotees in these communities give up illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating, and constantly engage in service to Krishna. Such followers of Srila Prabhupada are able to make wonderful spiritual advancement and convert many thousands of people to the process of devotional service. In fact, all the faithful members of ISKCON who follow the standard regulations remain free from material contamination and make visible progress in going back home, back to Godhead. Such members of ISKCON cannot possibly execute all the details of Varnashram Dharma system. In fact, many Western devotees can barely pronounce Sanskrit words and are not very expert in performing elaborate sacrifice based on chanting of mantras and offering of oblations. But because they are executing all essential principles of Bhakti Yoga by giving up material sense gratification and constantly engaging loving service to Krishna, their position is guaranteed both in this life and in the next. We have seen many sophisticated Sanskrit scholars and learned experts in the details of Vedic sacrifice who can hardly even follow the basic principles of human life, namely no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, and no intoxication. Such brilliant scholars and ritualistic performers are generally seen to be attached to a materialistic conception of life and are fond of mental speculation. Although in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Himself has given perfect knowledge for all time, such so-called scholars consider themselves more intelligent than the Lord and thus speculate on the meaning of Vedic literature. Such speculation certainly constitutes a fall from perfect spiritual life. And what then is to be said of materialistic fruity activities which are illusory in every sense of term? The transcendent devotees are able to remain aloof from the pollution of fruity activity and mental speculation, and that is the essential purport of this verse. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has warned that the words Yan Astaya indicate that the exalted status of Vaishnava can never be accorded to one who is not following the basic regulations of Bhakti Yoga, nor can it apply to one who is sometimes serving Krishna and sometimes serving the illusory energy Maya by mental speculation or food activities. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has concluded, in all dharmas other than Bhagavad Dharma, one must consider the conditioned soul's qualification. But a soul surrendered to Lord is never confounded by error, even if unqualified in all other respects. His feet never stumble and he never falls. Even though wandering in the world at whim, he always resides in an auspicious place by the influence of his unswerving worship. The unique potency of Bhagavad Dharma does not appear in any of the other dharmas in the world. There is no comparison between surrendered individual who has taken shelter of Bhagavad Dharma and the practitioners of other dharma. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padagamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyanta Deshitarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tushe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Runda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nilachal Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balbhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Nama Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I welcome everybody for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. I seek blessings of everyone so that I can speak something on this verse for my own purification. So this is a very wonderful chapter We see how Narad Muni has arrived at Dwarka, which he always used to arrive time to time to get association of Krishna. And in this occasion, we see how Vasudev is humbly approaching Narad Muni, understanding Narad Muni to be a great devotee, and inquiring how he can be free from this material existence. And we see Narad Muni is relating to him the conversation between Maharaj Nimi and Navayogendras. Navayogendras are sons of Rishabdev, incarnation of God. They are younger brothers of Bharat Maharaj, on whose name this whole tract of land is called as Bharat Varsha. So, Navayogendras are all Paramhamsas, liberated souls, pure devotees of Lord, like Narad Muni. Like Narad Muni can travel anywhere in the universe at will. Similarly, this Navayogendras also, they are pure devotees, they are completely liberated, they can travel anywhere at will, and they once happened to come at the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Nimi. And when Maharaj Nimi saw Navayogendras, he very happily welcomed them, and all the priests, those who are engaged in performing sacrifice, they also stood up, all the people stood up, and they were given warm reception by the king and all assembled there. And after that, Maharaj Nimi asked 9 questions, which 9 Yogendras answered one by one. So first question Maharaj Nimi asked was, he said, please describe about Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma is absolute good for everyone. Anybody performs Bhagavad Dharma, immediately he conquers Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord gives himself to such a devotee. So I want to hear about Bhagavad Dharma. So please describe Bhagavad Dharma. So we see then after hearing that, immediately the first Navayogendra, Kavi, he started speaking. Kavi Navayogendras thank Maharaj Nimi for wonderful reception, and then Kavi starts answering the first question. So Kavi said, this is in verse number 33. I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed by his falsely identifying himself with temporary material world, can achieve real freedom from fear only by worshipping the lotus feet of infallible Supreme Lord. In such devotional service, all fear qualified people can also practice devotional service. And in today's verse, Sri Kavi is continuing, telling to Maharaj Nimi and all assembled people there. He said, O king, one who accepts this process of devotional service, Bhagavad Dharma, to the Supreme Personal Godhead, will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with his eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. Now, if somebody runs with eyes closed, what will happen? Naturally, either he will tumble, he will fall, or he will hit someone. It's a very dangerous situation, no? We don't recommend it. Anybody runs with eyes closed. But to glorify the path of bhakti, the Kavi Maharaj, Kavi is telling that if somebody runs fastly with eyes closed, he will not tumble and he will not trip, he will not fall. And in purport we see our Acharya Sridhar Swami is explaining what it is meaning of running with eyes closed. It is said, Shruti and Smriti, these are two eyes of a Brahmana. If Brahmana knows only Shruti, he does know Smriti, that means he is blind by one eye. Or he only knows Smriti, he doesn't know Shruti, that means he is blind by one eye. And if he doesn't know Shruti and Smriti both, that means he is blind by both the eyes. So he is saying, what this verse is saying, that even if somebody is ignorant, he may not know Shruti, he may not know Smriti, but he has surrendered his life to Krishna and he is performing devotional service, he will not have any problem. So basically, he's saying, even lack of scriptural knowledge doesn't disqualify one from practicing bhakti. Bhakti is so glorious that anyone in any situation can practice bhakti. Whereas all other paths required qualification. To perform Ashtanga Yoga, to perform Jnana Yoga and other processes requires a lot of qualification. One may have to have intelligence, one may have to have detachment, one may have to have discipline, one may have to have determination, one may have to have great mind and sense control, and so many things, qualifications may be required in other paths in order to progress further. And despite that, one may feel some difficulties and one may tumble and fall also. Whereas in bhakti, great qualifications are not required. Anyone can practice bhakti. Why? Because it's natural. Bhakti is natural for all living entities. It is not something artificial imposition on anyone. Because we are eternally spiritual beings, Atma, part and parcel of Krishna, and we are eternally having that loving relationship. It is just temporarily covered over. So, because that relationship is eternal and is just temporarily covered over, it can be awakened easily if we follow the process. So Supreme Lord himself explains how bhakti can be performed, and all the great acharyas also elaborate on how to practice bhakti. So if one simply follows that process of serving Krishna, then even if he may not be very intelligent, very qualified, and he may have deficiencies in other things, still he can perform bhakti. And we see in scriptures there are different people performing different bhakti, different devotees in different situations performing bhakti. So we see Prahlad Maharaj performed bhakti when he was in the womb of mother. So age is not the consideration for practicing bhakti. Any person can do bhakti at any age. He may not be born also. In the womb of mother also he can do bhakti. So that is, now Ashtanga Yoga nobody can do in the womb of mother or study scriptures in the womb of mother, But bhakti, because it's natural, one can do at any age. Dhruva Maharaj did bhakti at age of 5, very young, and he was able to achieve perfection also. He was able to see Supreme Lord and develop love for Lord and achieve perfection just at the age of 5. It was not that he had to perform thousands and thousands of years of tapasya. So bhakti is simple and can perform at any age. So in womb it can be performed, in childhood it can be performed. We see Bharat Maharaj perform bhakti in prime of youth. He was devotee in prime of youth, then he wanted to intensify bhakti. He gave his kingdom up. Similarly, bhakti can be performed even one falls from other paths, or even if there is fall down, no problem. He can still continue bhakti. It's not that if one falls, he becomes disqualified. We see Ajamila, he fell down, but later on again he practiced bhakti and perfected life. Vishwamitra Muni, he fell down, but later on he took to devotional service. He surrendered to Supreme Lord And Supreme Lord accepted him. Supreme Lord did not say, "Hey, what is this? No, you are a fallen person. I don't give shelter to fallen people." No. When he surrendered, Lord accepted him. Bhakti is so amazing that even externally, people like who are not in human body can also perform bhakti, like monkeys or Jatayu and all these Vanaras and all. They are great devotees. Gajendra. Apparently they are not in human body also. Still, one can perform bhakti. Bhakti is such a wonderful thing that it doesn't depend on external circumstances. Even if one is surrounded by all envious people, materialistic people, sinful people, still one can perform bhakti. Like Vibhishan. Vibhishan was in the kingdom of Ravana, surrounded by all demonic people, but still he was a great devotee of Lord. And bhakti can perform in material world. Material world is padam padam vipadam tesham. There is no peace in this material world. There is always some problem. No matter how much problem come, still one can perform bhakti. It is not that if there is too much difficulty, we may have to give bhakti and we cannot perform bhakti. No, we can see that Pandavas, or if you see the life of Prahlad Maharaj, difficulty after difficulty after difficulty, but they were able to do. So one can perform bhakti in spite of so many challenges, difficulties. And one can equally attract the grace of Lord, please Lord, perfect life, and go back to King Lord. Even if one is born in low class family, it's not that to perform bhakti we have to be born in a Brahman family or some very high class aristocratic family. No, one can born in any family and still become a great devotee. We see Guha was born in a Nishada family. Still he was a great devotee. We see Sutta Goswami or Vidura, apparently they are considered Shudras, but still they are great devotees, worshipped by all, glorified by all acharyas. So bhakti is so wonderful, and we see this bhakti is performed in material world as well as spiritual world. It's eternal. And smallest of small people can practice bhakti, and biggest of big people can practice bhakti. We see Brahmaji, the topmost personality in this material creation, he's performing bhakti. Lord Shiva, the topmost Devta, he's also performing bhakti. So, and we can see that even cows in Vrindavan, they are great devotees of Krishna. Even trees are great devotees of Krishna and worshipping Krishna. And so we can see that there are no external considerations for practicing bhakti. Whereas in other paths, there are so many external considerations and there are so many conditions and all these things. So this is the beauty of bhakti. So Maharaj, this Sri Kavi is glorifying path of bhakti to Maharaj Nimi. So he's saying that one may not have all the knowledge, but still he can practice. Why? Because Lord is there in heart. And Lord becomes very favorably inclined to devotee who wants to serve him and come near him. Dadami buddhi yugam tam yena vam upayantite. Krishna within heart himself gives knowledge. Because Krishna is interested. If somebody says to Krishna, "Oh my dear Krishna, I am yours, I surrender to you, I want to serve you," then Krishna becomes very favorably inclined. And Krishna makes all arrangements. Because Krishna wants to revive relationship. We see any living entity, he may be wandering in cycle of birth and death for millions of lifetimes. Any moment he wants to seek, understand Supreme Lord, and he develops some curiosity of about absolute truth, immediately Lord arranges spiritual master and devotees, or he will arrange some or other, some arrangements will be made in his life, no matter where he is, in which situation he is. We have seen the stories of so many devotees that uh, in the different foreign countries who had never heard about Krishna, but when they became inquisitive of Krishna, somehow other they got book, or somehow other they came in touch with devotees, and somehow other they got connected to Krishna. So because Krishna is there in heart, and he arranges situations externally to facilitate devotees Krishna consciousness. Also, if devotee is sincere, Krishna within heart gives knowledge to devotee also. And here our acharyas, this purport, they have mentioned very nicely. That doesn't mean that Lord gives knowledge in the heart, and therefore people can, sometimes we see there are many people who are deviants, they are upper sampradaya people. They may not practice bhakti properly, but deviate from the path of bhakti and concoct some false paths. And if you ask, Are, how you are practicing such path? Where it is mentioned in scriptures? This is against scriptural injunction. They said, no, Lord has revealed me in my heart. So here it is mentioned, Lord reveals to devotees, but what he reveals is same what is there, he has revealed externally through scriptures and spiritual master. So scriptures are externally the words of God, and similarly Krishna arranges spiritual master externally so that spiritual master can guide. And same instructions are given by Lord is in the heart only. So it's not that there is contradiction between scriptures, the Guru, and revelation in the heart. So there is same thing mentioned. But if somebody says, no, I am revealed something else, and if that something else is contrary to the scriptures, then that kind of bhakti is utpat eva kalpate. Shruti smriti purana adi pancharate vidimina aikantika harer bhakti utpat eva kalpate. So Rupa Goswami, our acharyas explained how it's very important that we understand scriptures and practice bhakti accordingly, and not whimsically telling, okay, as for our feelings. Okay, sometimes there may be revelations also, but we need to confirm that with Hari Guru, with Guru Sadhu Shastras. We can confirm with Guru, or we can confirm with other bona fide devotees, confirm with Shastras. When there is confirmation, then we know, yes, it's right. But if it is contrary, then one should be very careful. So here, principle is mentioned that bhakti is very easy. Just we have to surrender to Krishna and give up material desires. Don't cultivate material desires. And try to serve Krishna in all ways. Surrender body, word, mind, intelligence, and everything to Krishna. One way, one may say it is easy because you just have to surrender. But actually, surrender is not very easy. Bhakti is very easy. You just need to surrender to Krishna and serve Krishna. But for conditioned soul, surrender is very difficult. Therefore, for conditioned soul, to perform austerities, to do lot of troubles, to study scriptures, to do so many hard work, that may be appearing easy because it boosts his false ego. But surrender sometimes is very difficult because you have to give false ego. For a conditioned soul, sometimes he loves false ego more than anything else, and he wants to maintain false ego. Therefore, bhakti may appear very difficult. So bhakti is Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So bhakti is easy, provided we want to give up our false ego and accept the real ego that I am Atma, I am not the body, and I am servant of Krishna eternally. So to give up this false ego is a very challenging thing. Somehow or other, the false ego is very deep, and when we practice bhakti, but over a period of time, again one may get covered over by false ego, and when we get covered over by false ego, then bhakti becomes difficult. Sometimes this false ego is very subtle, and material desires are very subtle. So one has to guard against false ego and material desires that generate out of false ego. Therefore, one has to remain in association of devotees, and one has to practice devotional work under direction of qualified devotees. Then bhakti is easy. So we see when we are practicing bhakti, because bhakti is transcendental. Anybody in any situation can practice bhakti. But sometimes when we are practicing bhakti, when we are living in the material world, we may have to deal with materialistic things. For example, we see, I was just observing a little bit that sometimes devotees in North India, they are little favorable to BJP government, and they may be favorable to Modi government. Sometimes those are in East India, they may be favorable to TMC, they may be favorable and they may work with Mamata Banerjee. Because of they want to serve, we want to expand the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Because devotees are interested in serving Krishna, and whoever facilitated them in service of Krishna, they are okay with it. And they want everybody to become Krishna. They don't discriminate who is which party and all these things. But sometimes when one gets involved in these things, slowly one may start identifying more with that than bhakti. And we see from material point of view, external point of view, BJP and TMC may have different equation. Similarly, Modi and Mamata may have different equation. But imagine those devotees who are serving, if they start having different equation, then there is problem. But sometimes while service, because we are doing service only, it may so happen that we may start taking sides. And then devotees may, they are fighting and devotees may also fight. And they may side, oh, this is right, this is wrong. And there can be strain in relationship. Oh, just because he's supporting, he or she, they are supporting this. Anyway, they are doing it for service only. But sometimes, over a period of time, our primary identification, secondary identification may get confused. One should know, I am primary servant of Krishna. And then in secondary world, when I am doing service, I may also have some relationship and I may facilitate these things. But if secondary things overpower primary things, we may develop hatred or some negative devotees. Also, sometimes when issues come, sometimes there can be money involved, people involved, facilities involved, different things involved. And if one gets overpowered by the things, then one can develop enmity with each other. And one may develop negativity toward devotees. And that can be very dangerous. Similarly, we see sometimes we have devotional relationships, spiritual relationships, and sometimes we have managerial relationship also. And then, sometimes while doing managing and all these things, sometimes that may become so prominent. And then because of that prominent thing, we may develop negativity towards different Vaishnavas. Because managerial, different people may take different stand because of different situations. Because they are in different situations, because there are different considerations. But if that leads us to develop negativity with devotees, hate devotees, or then there can be serious challenges. So, because we are living in material world, and we have to deal with material things, but we have to be always careful, not be attached to it, and especially not cultivate material desires. Because when we are dealing with material world and we cultivate material desires, and when these material desires are hampered, sometimes there can be a lot of anger, enmity, envy, and other things may come up. And we cannot avoid that in this material world. Any service we have to do for Krishna, we may have to deal with material energy. But it's very important that we understand what is primary and what is secondary. My relationship with Krishna is primary. My relationship with Hari, Guru, Vaishnavas are primary. And then I may also have other relationship, and I may have other services and other responsibilities also, but it has to be done in a nice way. We see amazing example in Mahabharata. Here we see one side Bhishma is there, he is a pure devotee. Another side Arjuna is there, he is a pure devotee. Both are devotees of Krishna, but they are fighting against each other. They are killing each other. What a situation. Material world is such a way that actually externals will be very bewildering. But it's very important what we consider primary. You see, Arjuna was a primary, was focused in his servitude towards Krishna. So he could do that service, though it was very painful. Similarly, Bhishma was primarily identifying himself as a role of servant of Krishna. Therefore, he could do his role, fighting against Pandavas, without any bewilderment. And both of them achieved perfection. This is very, Krishna was very transcendental. But imagine, ordinarily, if two set of devotees are fighting against each other because of external situation, there can be hatred towards each other also. We see there is fight between Russia and Ukraine. Now there are situations are like those who are in Russia, now what they can do, and those who are in Ukraine, what they can do. Now in this situation, because of situation they are there, but then because of situation some Russians have to be part of army, because of some real situation Ukrainians have to be part of army, and sometimes some devotees are in Russian army, some devotees are in Ukraine army, and sometimes they have to fight with each other. Can you imagine? Sometimes, and this is very bewildering situation. And sometimes when day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, if fight goes on, one may develop that identity. And when we forget our real identity, we may start thinking, oh, I am Russian, and I am follower of Putin, I am Ukrainian, I am follower of this. And each one of them have their own causes, From material point of view, they have their own causes. But if devotee gets involved in it, then one may think, he's right, he's wrong. And then they may develop hatred towards each other, negative with each other. And then, then that can create actually spiritual challenges. We see Indra is fighting against Rutrasur, Rutrasur is fighting against Indra. Both actually in one way are devotees. Indra is also devotee. He may be materialistic devotee, but he is devotee. And Rutrasur is also devotee. Maybe he is externally born with a demonic body, but is devotee. And situations that they're both fighting each other. But because Rutrasur is conscious of that he's fighting, that is my external duty. He's not attached to that external thing. He's attached to Krishna. And he's doing as a dutifully thing. So we see that even with fighting with Indra and being killed by Indra, he is able to go back to Godhead. So this bhakti is very deep, and bhakti can perform in any situation, but anytime we can get overpowered by material energy, because this false ego is so this thing. Instead of identifying primarily as servants of Krishna, we may start identifying secondarily. Oh, I am this in charge, I am this country person, I am this ideology, that ideology, and then there can be issues. But here we see in scriptures, it's so amazing that two devotees fighting against each other. They may kill each other, but both can love each other and both can love Krishna and both can achieve perfection. Bhishma and Arjun, or for that matter, Rutrasur and Indra. So this Krishna consciousness, if we are able to give falsehood, it's easy and can be performed anywhere. But this falsehood is very challenging. And therefore, we have to pray to Krishna, and we have to always remain under guidance of devotees, inauspicious devotees. And we have to always see that in any situation, we do not become inimical. to any, we do not become inimical or develop any negativity towards Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. Because when we are involved in material world, when we start identifying with secondary things more, there is chance that we may become inimical to Hari, inimical to Guru or Vaishnavas. Sometimes if material things are in disturbance, one may become inimical to God also. Krishna, why is this happening? Or one may become inimical to Guru also. Or one may become inimical to devotees also. Sometimes we see, I remember one brahmachari, and I remember one temple president, whatever. So at one place, when some projects were coming up and their flats were being constructed for their congregation and all these things, So brahmachari wanted his sister to get buy flat, and then there was temple leader guiding the congregation who were selling the flats and all these things. And some issues happened. Because material world means always there will be issues. But then I saw that brahmachari started becoming so disturbed and becoming inimical towards temple and all that. Because somehow, because of money and sister and all that, he got so involved in it. So we have to be very cautious when we are doing service, helping each other, because this material world is very, anytime we can become inimical with each other. Even we can become inimical with Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. So therefore, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat parvatvena nirmalam rushikena rushikesh sevan bhakti ruchate. So we have to give other identities and serve Krishna as humble servant of Krishna. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshit ahituki apratiyata. Without material motives, we have to serve Krishna. Yatma suprasanti anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavati anukulina. You have to serve in a favorable way. Krishna anushilanam. Anushilam. You have to serve under direction of expert devotees. Then bhakti is easy. Otherwise, one may get confused, one may get bewildered on this path. So here Kavi is saying, and he is glorifying further, he'll continue glorifying the path of bhakti, that how it is so natural, so simple, and how it is the topmost process and joyfully perform. And if you just do bhakti, everything else will follow. Realizations will follow. In the beginning, we may not have love for God will come. In the beginning, we may have material desires. Okay, material desires will go away, we'll become purified, we may develop detachment. And in the beginning, we may not have direct relationship with Krishna, but over a period of time, we will develop direct relationship with Krishna. So everything will just follow if we just continue practicing this path of bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has one question, we can take. Jai, Radha Govinda Prabhu. Jai, yes. Huh? Very difficult. That's what I know. I'm saying very difficult actually. It's very easy to say, but actually it's very difficult. Just therefore, Bhagavata spoken by Krishna. It's very difficult. We may understand when Arjuna and Bhishma came together. It's very difficult, Easy to say, but very difficult. But they have to do their part, whatever. If they are in the military and what to do, we can pray to Krishna, whatever. Like Rudrasur is fighting, but he's praying that anyway, my dear Krishna, my only desire is, I don't have any desire in this material world. I just want to become servant of your servant of servant. My dear Lord, may I develop attachment to your lotus feet. When will that day come? When will I again unite with you? When we'll have attachment The way the tiny birds are having attachment to the mother and waiting for mother bird, the way the calf is waiting for a mother cow, the way the wife whose husband is away is eagerly waiting for husband to return so that she can serve. Similarly, may I also again get opportunity to meet you, Lord, and serve you. So as much as Krishna consciousness we can have and serve, what to do. Situation in this material world are like that, Sometimes we may not be able to change the situation. We may be very tiny. Now, one Ukraine devotee or one Russian devotee may not be able to stop war between Russia and Ukraine. And they're professional, they may be there. And they may have to do their part, but remembering Krishna, that okay, I am doing my part. They do their best, remembering Krishna as service to Krishna. And Krishna will then take them, both of them, back to God. It's not whether one survives or dies. If one dies in Krishna consciousness, he will go back to God. If he survives in Krishna consciousness, he can continue practicing, preaching Krishna consciousness. So, one should understand, these are external designations. And we may have to do the part, but more than that, we have to identify ourselves with our primary destiny. Therefore, no matter wherever we are, both Russian devotee, when they get up in the morning, they should do their chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Pray to Prabhupada, spiritual master, and continue their activities. Okay. I'm not the expert in this field, but I see this material is like that, what to do. Sometimes, external situations and should not come on the way of our spiritual relationships, and especially our relation with Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. Do our part, but internally cultivate our relationship. Like Rudrasur, he was cultivating his relationship with Krishna. He did not become inimical to Krishna. Arey, my dear Krishna, how is that you gave thunderbolt to Indra to kill me? Arey, the fact that you give thunderbolt to Indra to kill me, that means you don't love me. So I am now not going to be your devotee. Forget, no? Can you imagine? He understood, okay, if Krishna wants to kill me, that is good for me. Krishna, that is his love. I am okay. Oh Krishna, you want to kill me, I am okay. Can you imagine? He did not become inimical to Krishna. Neither he became inimical to Indra. He was giving good guidance to Indra also. So maybe we can take inspiration from Rudrasur and try to do our part. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hare Hare Bo.